I work reception at a hospital in Amsterdam. An American tourist came in with a sprained ankle. Simple wrap, some ice, standard procedure. The bill came to 45 euros. He stared at it for a solid minute. Then he looked at me and said, "Where's the rest?" I told him that was everything. He shook his head. "No, the real bill. The itemized one." I explained this was itemized consultation. Wrap, ice pack. He got visibly upset. "This is 45 euros for an emergency room visit. Something's wrong with your system." I assured him our system was working fine. He pulled out his phone and started Googling. American ER visits cost 2,000 minimum. You guys are scamming me with low prices. What's the catch? Are you even real doctors? My colleague had to bring out her medical degree. He studied it, then asked if European medical schools were accredited internationally. We told him Amsterdam has one of the top medical programs globally. He paid, left confused, and wrote a TripAdvisor review warning Americans about suspiciously cheap Dutch healthcare that might be a front. The invoice was in his hand. He thought affordable care was the scam. My cousin in Munich handled an American who demanded her prescription be filled the American way. She worked pharmacy checkout. He wanted Vicodin for back pain. She explained it required strict authorization here. He said, "I get this every month at Walgreens. Just give me 30 pills, she told him. German regulations differed. He responded, "Regulations. It's medicine. Just sell it to me." A barista in Paris watched an American ask which cafe had health insurance accepted for coffee purchases. Well, she thought he was joking. He wasn't. He'd read France had universal health care and assumed it covered everything. When she explained it covered medical needs, not lattes, he seemed disappointed. So what's the point? These stories keep coming. Let me walk you through what happens when American healthcare expectations crash into European reality. I manage a pharmacy in Copenhagen. An American woman came in with a Wisconsin prescription for Adderall. Standard amphetamine, controlled substance here. I told her I couldn't fill it without a Danish psychiatric evaluation. She was furious. I've been on this for 6 years. My doctor prescribed it. It's legal, explained. That didn't transfer automatically across borders. She pulled out her prescription bottle like evidence. See, official. From a real doctor? I told her I believed her. But Danish law required local authorization for controlled substances. She escalated immediately. This is discrimination against Americans. I need this medication to function. I offered to direct her to a psychiatrist who could evaluate her. She refused. I'm not seeing a new doctor. I have a doctor. He prescribed this. I explained her doctor had no authority in Denmark. She called it a human rights violation. Then she tried reasoning. What if I just take the bottle and you bill my insurance? I told her that wasn't how it worked. She offered to pay cash. $200. Just put it through. I explained it wasn't about money. It legally couldn't dispense it. She threatened to call the American embassy. My manager came out. She tried the same arguments with him. He calmly explained that Denmark had different pharmaceutical regulations because we had different healthcare oversight. She asked why Europe made everything so complicated. He said, "We don't find it complicated." She left, called us communists on Google reviews. Said Denmark was practicing medical gatekeeping and Americans should avoid Scandinavian pharmacies. The prescription was valid. Just not here. That's not gatekeeping, it's sovereignty. My friend works at a Berlin clinic. An American came in for a checkup. No specific complaint. Just wanted everything checked. Blood work scans. Full physical. The doctor asked what prompted this. He said, "I'm here for 2 weeks. Might as well use the free healthcare." She explained it wasn't exactly free. It was funded by German taxes, and he wasn't in the system. He waved that off. But it's universal healthcare, right? That means everyone. She clarified it meant everyone covered under German insurance. He asked how he got covered. She said live and work here. He seemed offended. So it's not really universal. She said it was universal for residents. He argued that was a contradiction. Universal means everyone. You can't call it universal and then exclude tourists. She told him he could pay out of pocket for the tests he wanted. He balked at the price. I thought this was supposed to be cheaper than America. She said it was for Germans. For him, as an uninsured foreigner, it was private rate. He called it false advertising. You guys promote universal health care, then charge tourists. That's bait and switch. Left. Posted on Reddit about how European healthcare was a lie for marketing purposes. Got 200 upvotes from Americans who agreed they'd been misled by socialist propaganda. Pharmacy tech in Stockholm told me about an American who wanted antibiotics for a cold. No prescription, just walked in and asked for amoxicillin. She told him that required a doctor's visit first. He said, "It's just a cold. I know what I need." She explained antibiotics don't treat viral infections. He cut her off. "I've taken them before. They work." She said they might have worked on bacterial infections, but colds were viral. He insisted his American doctor gave them to him for colds all the time. She offered to book him with a clinic doctor who could assess if he needed them. He didn't want an assessment. "I'm telling you, I need antibiotics. I've done this dozens of times in the States. Why is Sweden making this difficult?" She explained Sweden had strict antibiotic protocols to prevent resistance. He laughed. Antibiotic resistance? That's a myth made up by Big Pharma to sell more expensive drugs. She told him it was very real and very dangerous. He said, "If it's so dangerous, why does America give them out freely?" She didn't have an answer that would satisfy him. He walked out, found a different pharmacy, tried the same thing, got the same answer. Eventually posted online that Sweden was denying life-saving medication over bureaucratic nonsense. He wanted antibiotics for a virus. That's not bureaucracy. That's basic biology. I work hotel concierge in Rome. An American family checked in and immediately asked where to find a network urgent care. I told them Italy didn't work that way. The father looked confused. "What do you mean?" "Every country has healthcare networks." Explained Italy had public hospitals that treated anyone in emergencies and private clinics for non-emergencies. He asked which ones took Blue Cross. I said probably none directly, but he could pay and file for reimbursement. He seemed horrified. "So I have to pay up front." I confirmed. He pulled out his insurance card. "This says worldwide coverage." I told him to check if that meant reimbursement-based. He called his insurance company while standing in my lobby. 10 minutes later, he came back, frustrated. They said I pay first, submit receipts, then maybe get reimbursed in 6 to 8 weeks. That's insane. I suggested it was standard for international travel. He disagreed. Standard would be showing my card and walking out. This is a scam. His wife asked if Italian hospitals were any good. I assured her they were excellent. She didn't look convinced. But they're public. Don't public hospitals have long waits? I told her emergency care was immediate. She asked about quality. Is it like American quality? I said Italian healthcare ranked higher than American healthcare in most international measures. She clearly didn't believe me. That can't be right. America has the best doctors. I didn't argue. She Googled it in front of me, found the rankings, and said, "These must be biased statistics." They never ended up needing care. But they asked 3 more times about finding Blue Cross providers before checkout. My sister works at intake in Oslo. An American came in with chest pain, genuinely worried. They ran tests, CKG, blood work, monitoring. Turned out to be anxiety. They kept him for hours for observation, gave him resources for mental health support. The bill came to 300 kroner, about $28. He stared at it, then asked, "Is this just the copay?" The nurse said no, that was the total. He laughed nervously. For 4 hours in the ER? No way, she confirmed. He pulled out his American insurance card. I have insurance. Run this, she explained. Norway didn't process American insurance directly. He could submit the receipt for reimbursement. He looked at the bill again. It's $28. That won't even cover my deductible. She agreed. He sat there processing. In America, this would be $4,000 minimum, even with insurance. She nodded sympathetically. He seemed almost angry. So I pay for insurance that costs $600 a month, and it's useless here where care costs nothing. She didn't know what to say. He paid, then asked, "Why don't Americans know about this?" She said, "Maybe they don't want you to." He left quietly. My sister said he looked like someone who just realized he'd been lied to his whole life. Receptionist in Prague told me about an American who refused treatment because the hospital looked too old. He'd cut his hand badly, needed stitches, but the building was Soviet-era, concrete and functional. He took one look and said, "This doesn't look sterile." The doctor showed him the surgical, sweet modern equipment, completely sanitized. He wasn't convinced. In America, hospitals look like hotels. Marble floors, glass walls. This looks like a prison. The doctor explained that Czech medical care focused on outcomes, not aesthetics. He asked where the nicer hospital was. She told him this was the regional hospital, fully equipped and staffed. He wanted private options. She directed him to a private clinic. He went, got the same stitches, paid 4 times more, and felt better about it. Later wrote a blog post about how European public hospitals were stuck in the Cold War and Americans should only use private facilities. The private clinic used the same sutures, same technique. Same doctor who rotated between both facilities. He paid extra for newer furniture. The stitches were identical. I work at a medical clinic in Brussels. An American came in for a routine procedure, minor cyst removal, outpatient, local anesthetic. Simple. We scheduled him, did the procedure, sent him home with care instructions. Total cost, €200. He came back the next day, not for medical reasons, but to talk. He sat down and said, "I need to understand something. In America, this exact procedure cost me $3,000 last year. With insurance, here it's $200 and you spent more time with me. What's happening?" I walked him through it. Our doctors are salaried, not fee-for-service. We don't have insurance companies taking 40% off the top. Our medications are price-regulated. Our medical school is subsidized, so doctors don't graduate with $300,000 in debt. Our malpractice system is less litigious, so malpractice insurance is cheaper. He listened carefully. Then asked, "So, why does America say universal health care is impossible?" I told him that was a political question, not a medical one. He pressed, "But you're a small country. America's huge. Doesn't that make it harder?" I mentioned Germany has 80 million people and makes it work. Japan has 125 million. He countered, "But America's different." He thought about it. "I don't know. That's just what we're told." He sat there for another 10 minutes, not saying much. Finally, he said, "I pay $18,000 a year for insurance. My wife pays $12,000. That's $30,000 for 2 people, and we still pay out of pocket constantly. You're telling me that's just because someone decided it should be that way?" I told him I couldn't speak to American policy. He nodded slowly. "I've been defending our system my whole life. Told people universal health care was a fantasy. But I just paid €200 for something that cost me $3,000 at home. That's not a fantasy. That's just math." He shook my hand, thanked me for the honesty, and left. I watched him walk out looking like someone who just had a very expensive illusion, shattered for €200. These stories keep coming. Americans arrive expecting healthcare to work like it does at home, complicated, expensive, tied to employment and insurance networks. Then they experience something simpler, cheaper, and more accessible, and they don't know what to do with that information. Some get angry, some get defensive, some just get quiet. But they all leave knowing something they didn't before. And that's the part nobody talks about, the moment when the myth breaks, and they realize the system they've been told is the best in the world might just be the most profitable. Next time, what happens when Americans try to tip their European doctors? Yes, really. Stay tuned.